Hi there, this is Max from Spring 2015 CS61A. I'm just going to give a quick review of basic scheme list things, just so that this is sort of just pretty basic stuff, so you have an idea of how it's represented. So, important thing to know is in Scheme, all of our lists are created out of these basic units called pairs. And I can create a pair by writing cons, and then two arguments. So this can be another set of cons, or it can be something as basic as 1 and 2. And what this creates is a pair box and pointer diagram here. It's just going to have two elements, a first element and a rest element. And this is going to be represented in Python or in Scheme as 1.2. And this is what we'll use to sort of help build out the rest of our scheme list abilities. So if so let's do something useful. Let's assign this first set of pairs to a variable. Say define A. And I'm going to set it equal to the list 1 and 2. So the pair 1 and 2. And when I run this in my SCM interpreter, I'm going to get the symbol A back. Now if I call A, try and see what the value of A is, I'm going to get 1.2. Now if I just wanted 1, if I just want the first element from one of these pairs, I would write car A. So I'm getting the first element out of this pair. This is going to return 1. And if I write cutter A, I'm going to get the second element, which is 2. Okay, hold on. It's going to get more interesting in a moment. So I've done this. This is cool, but it's not especially useful yet. Let's continue on and build some slightly longer lists. So if I want to build longer lists, the way I want this to look in a box and pointer diagram is going to be a lot like the way we've represented things in Python, the way we've represented links in linked lists in Python. So we'll have a first, and then a rest that's going to point to another list. So if I want to build something that looks like this, typical is to have something end with an empty list or a null value. If I want to build something that looks like this, the way I can build it is by setting, so let's set it equal to a variable new list, and I'll write it cons 1, and then my second element I want to be cons 2. Actually, let's make this a little more explicit. Cons 2, cons 3, nil. Okay. So if I have enough parentheses here, then this will work. Okay, 4 parentheses at the end there. And what I've done is I've said the first element of this list is going to be a 1. The second, and then the rest of it is going to be this list that is comprised of a list that has a first element that's equal to 2, which is this right here, and then a rest that's a final set of pairs that's equal to 3, and then a nil value, which is how we close out our lists. Okay, so if I write this in the scheme interpreter, what I'm going to get out is new list. Whoops, new list. And now if I evaluate new list, I should get out 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you might be looking at this and think, oh, this is a little strange. Right up here we used our dot notation. We sort of had 1.2 when we're talking about pairs. Aren't these all made up of pairs? And the reason that this gets compressed is because this is a very natural way to build lists in Scheme, and so we have some, Scheme is actually going to modify the way it displays things that follow this form by removing these periods. And I'll actually show you in a second how you can go ahead and do this if you're writing this stuff on an exam. So if I find this on an exam and I say, well, I've built this list, how do I figure out that it's going to return this? The way I would do it is I would just think about it as though I'm building a bunch of pairs. So what is this actually represented as? This is 1 dot, because I've consing 1 with something, so it's 1 dot 2, a new list that has 2 dot, because it's const with something again, and then 3 dot, and now nil is actually an empty list. It's going to look like this. And now Scheme goes through and does this thing wherever it sees a period followed by a parenthesis, it's going to just delete that and the matching parenthesis. So we can go ahead and do that ourselves. So we can just go left to right after we've built this list up. We found a period followed by a parenthesis. Let's get rid of that. And we'll get rid of the matching parenthesis over here. Found a period followed by a parenthesis. Let's get rid of that. And we'll get rid of the matching parenthesis here. And we find a period followed by a parenthesis. We can get rid of that and its matching parenthesis. And now we have what we expected. Can write this a little more cleanly. Look like that. Okay, so this is a really quick basic introduction to lists. Just in case you've forgotten, we can get the first element out of a list with car, we can get the rest of the list with cutter, and we build lists with cons. One other thing that is helpful to know is that there's also instead of doing this long syntax right here, we can do two other things. I can write the symbol 1, 2, 3. This is going to be evaluated as the list 1, 2, 3. Let's get 1, 2, 3 out. And I can write list 1, 2, 3. Use the function list and generate a list that way. So in case you get bored of writing cons 1, cons 2, cons 3, you can use this sort of this nicer syntax to do that. Okay, if you have any questions on this, feel free to post on Piazza or write a comment on YouTube and we'll get them answered. Okay, thanks for watching.